Fantastic, man. How are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. All right, we have some buyer psychology. We got to get inside their brains right now because they are struggling with this last week and a half. Why
My
are they
goodness.
struggling?
Oh my goodness. Who wouldn't be, right? Um, we've talked about it a lot, and maybe we'll get to the affordability chart, but um, there just has not been any sense of stability in the home buying process. So when you think of buying a home, you don't think of the dramatic swings that maybe you would if you were looking to buy stocks or um, some of the stock market volatility. And my goodness, we've seen it all over the place. These poor buyers. We went from 3 months ago. There was more homes on the market than you could shake a stick at. And we were talking about maybe being able to negotiate and getting sellers credits to now inventory's tightened up and mortgage rates are like a darn roller coaster. So it's just been a crazy period of time for somebody to be able to look at this rationally and not get emotionally charged about something.
All right, so we come out of the gates in January. The industry has a strong 2, 3 weeks of activity. It was like New Year's resolution for everybody, right? Like,
That's
I'm
well
going to
said.
do this. I'm going to buy a house. This is going to be great. We see mortgage rates back down to just under 6%. Everybody up here thinks we're in the clear. We might have seen the worst of this. Well, not so fast, guys. In the last week and a half, we bumped up above 6.75% on 30-year money. And it's really been a gut punch for everybody in the industry. We're going to talk a little bit about it from a builder standpoint, a realtor standpoint, and a buyer standpoint. The lending stuff will kind of add our little flair to each one of those components, but folks are really, really starting to question their sanity about buying or renting or moving up or moving down and staying put.
It's well said. We say it a lot, right? That in your background, it's the, hey, I want to buy versus I need to buy. And my goodness, there's a big difference in I'd say the demeanor of those folks that we're talking to. The want to buy, yeah, I want to, but they just can't get over these hurdles that keep getting thrown at them. The need to buy people are, hey, my family or this needs to make progress. I'll worry about the interest rates later. Can I do this? And how can I get that done? Just massive difference between those two buckets.
All right, everybody listening to this, I want to raise a hand of, if you were at a Super Bowl party last weekend, did the housing market come up? It had to have, guys. Every Super Bowl party, housing came up. So when you and I go to any party, we don't care what year it is or what's going on, how's the mortgage business? Fair?
It gets asked every time. Yeah.
So the big take from the Super Bowl party that I was at was, you just got to wait. Now is not the time. You just got to wait it out. You got to wait for prices to come down or rates to go lower or something like that.
And that is a super easy conclusion to come to, right? And that totally makes sense. But there are still some people out there that have to do something. We can get into some of those reasons, but there's a lot more people that want to buy versus need to buy, at least that we're talking with in the conversations. And that's reflective in, if you look at lead count and any metric you want to measure from a mortgage company's perspective, all of those are way down.
Credit report polls, right?
It is a leading indicator for sure.
Well, you can't write a mortgage if you don't pull somebody's credit.
All right, now I've got a sidebar for a second.
Okay.
So all of this inflation talk that we've gone through, here's my pet peeve or bone to pick with the mortgage industry. Credit report expenses just doubled in the last 30 days. Yes, a normal, well, I shouldn't say double, that was an exaggeration. We went from an average for a joint borrowers or two applicants credit reports were about $60. Now it's like 105. And so everything's getting more expensive. I'm past the eggs. I've got that in my system and I can learn how to deal with the price of eggs, but the credit reports are going to stick with me for a while.
Well, when you look at the big guys out there, Quickens, Better.coms, any giant retail mortgage shop, what are they going to list their rates at? To get their rate costs how much money?
Oh yeah, I can't find a listing of a mortgage rate without paying 2 points. And 2 points, if you just assume a loan amount of $400,000, 2 points is $8,000 on top of the third party expenses, which those are typically around a couple $1,000s. So large lenders are advertising rates where the consumer needs to pay 10 grand in mortgage costs. And that is just disgusting.
No different than the dealership saying you can have this Ford Edge for $399. Costs you $5 grand up front.
Just back up the Brinks truck to signing and you're fine.
All right. So the inflation has hit mortgage costs as well. The good guys, the brokers, no junk fees, period. You do not have to pay points. You have 0 point options on probably 95% of the products out there. Investment properties, it gets a little bit goofy, but nobody's buying those right now.
Yeah, the only thing we're seeing a little bit different now, again, we get to these periods of time where there's such rate volatility, there is more incentive to spend a couple of bucks more to buy the rate down. But again, all of this chaos is just because of the inflation uncertainty. And, again, mortgage rates to fluctuate from February 1st, we were at 5.99 to February 17th, we're at 6.8%. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I feel for people that are trying to participate in the purchase market to not feel like they're being sidewinded some way, somehow.
So one of the values going to come down?
That's a great question.
They haven't really budged much. Certain pockets where you're sitting, Phoenix, Boise, San Francisco, but
the
nationally they really haven't.
No, low
Midwest,
single digit
Southeast,
changes.
pretty stable.
Mm-hmm. So the places that are having price cuts had just explosive new construction in the last 3 years. So that's where what we're finding most of the price cuts are coming from. But again, yeah, the stuff we're talking to in Michigan and Florida, prices aren't budging because there's just no homes on the market other than new construction.
All right. Want to buy, need to buy. Let's talk about some of the folks we've spoken to in the last week.
Yep.
Couple quick examples of need to buys.
Need to buys, divorce, family splitting. Obviously, that creates a household since it's now not going to be joint. That's a scenario that came across. Family expansion. We also had
ran out of room.
Yeah, that was from family growing as well as job change, where now both people have to work from home, and with kids that they just can't physically function in the home that they're in. They need more space.
Plus, we have a lot of parents moving back in with folks our age. That's happening as well.
Yes.
Hey, Pat, come on into Kenny's.
She's good where she's at.
She is not. She needs to hang out with you more. Okay. So divorce.
I need her to keep her house so that I can get out of mine every once in a while.
Oh,
me and the dogs go for a visit.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Family expansion, divorce. What else? Any other need to buys that you've seen?
Some people that are affluent or sitting on a great financial situation have stumbled into what they call the perfect opportunity. So like moving within a community because they know somebody's selling and that's a better opportunity for them. So an opportunity to buy a home without needing to go out into the open market falls into their lap.
Okay.
So
reloads. We have some reloads.
Right. Yep. That's constant.
But for the most part, our want to buy folks, those are our move up, move down folks, Or
Even some,
second home folks.
the want to buy,
Yes.
you can even throw first timers into that. So, the qualified, ready to go, either payment shock because of the interest rate change or the limited inventory has just made that so it's not as easy to continue to make progress down that purchase process.
We're going to have some landlords throwing out some either no rent increase, maybe even a
Yeah.
mild decrease to keep their books stable and not lose. When you lose a tenant and you have to start over,
I was just talking to
significant expense.
Yeah, just talking to my wife about that, where we have one that's coming up in August, and knowing that rents have come down, do we beat the buyer to the punch and say, hey, here's a reduction in your rent? Even if it's a $150 drop in rent, right? That's $1,800 a year in lost revenue, but a 1 month gap and paying fees to find a new tenant, it doubles that, whatever that loss is that we would try to
Sure.
appease them to keep continuity. So yeah, that's substantial. Turnover can be a doozy.
Okay. So first timers, believe it or not, could be wants, not needs.
Mhm.
The second homes, there's people buying second homes very small and far between right now. And they're typically paying cash, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw
Um,
some statistics, right? Florida still leads the way in cash transactions. I think the most
What was
recent
the
thing I
number?
saw was like 31%.
God, it feels
It,
more
it,
than that, but
it does, but that's probably the pocket that we are in the Sarasota, Bradenton area. But the next closest market was just under 20%. So Florida
wow.
is vastly ahead in the cash sale transactions.
Okay, so anything goofy from some of the conversations, some of the scenarios on
No,
those? Okay.
no, everything's relatively straightforward.
Okay. What are you feeling from job security from these folks that we're talking to in the last week? Any discussions about worries there?
No.
Okay. That bodes to the numbers we're seeing. Retail sales were up in January, up 3%, beat expectations. The buyer psychology part of this, need and want to buy, it goes back to what it cost vehicle used, new and vehicle financing, the HELOC mortgage, second mortgage rates, the credit card rates, and are they really saving money right now, or are they really able to do this with this inflation that's tearing away at their paycheck? Are they understanding what's going on? Are they?
Yeah, they're again the people that need to buy. It's and we've done a good job of getting ourselves in a position, and we're just going to find a way to make it work. So a lot of that conversation or thought, I think, is somewhat depressed because we've got to move forward and make this change, and we're going to figure it out as we go. The want to buys, I think, are more in that category of the, I've got to part with the savings that makes me feel okay for my down payment or put some money into the home, and I've got an increased house payment compared to what my rent is. So I really need to make sure that I feel super strong about this. Otherwise, it's just real easy to renew the lease.
All right. Quick question. You don't know what's coming. Average rent from the people you've spoken to in the last couple of weeks. What are they paying right now? Would
It's
you
right around,
guess?
I'd say right around $2,100.
Okay. And that's Phoenix, Metro Detroit, Southwest Florida-ish areas. You can't get anything for under 2,000, right? Pretty much
It's
anywhere.
a cramped apartment,
Okay.
where you're really sort of still almost living like a college student.
All right, let's switch over to the affordability chart.
Oh, for sure.
And we'll get everybody up to speed on what that's looking like.
So we worked on this just a couple of days ago,
Yeah, that
And
was
that-
6, 7, 8 yesterday.
and it's 6.8 today.
Okay. All right. So this is going back to January of 21, kind of when, rates were bouncing along the bottom there. Fast forward to January of 22, rates had started to move up. And then our high water mark is that October 27th, 7.08. This is based on Freddie Mac's survey. So we went from 855 principal and interest up to 1807 in October, and we've trended back down not too far. We're like $100 off the high right now, which is why you're seeing mortgage companies struggle, and why you're seeing so many social media videos from real estate agents, because there's not enough transactions to feed them all. So they're all out putting social media videos daily. It's nuts.
Yep.
The amount of posts they're putting out there. So move forward throughout the year. Little hope in there of what we see
Yeah.
coming.
Unfortunately, we keep pushing that back a little bit more as, this week, we were expecting economic news that would help our cause and speed up the pace of rates that may be under 6%. And there's a little bit of a hiccup there. So, now the next indication that people are talking about maybe early May, where we get some substantial inflation updates to help the mortgage rate cause.
Okay, so Fed's going to keep hiking rates probably through the middle of the year. Mortgage rates can't come down until they really think the Fed is done hiking rates. So that's what's causing the delay right now. And the Fed's in a pickle where the higher I keep interest rates, the less demand there is. And then the home prices can't come down if nobody's selling. So that's the pickle we're in right now.
Yeah, housing is officially in a recession when you look at the number of transactions that are going on. And that seems to be the only sector of the economy that's really been that's admitted that it's in a recessionary state. Everything else is still seems to be clipping along as normal or with minor adjustments. So that's the dilemma that is just killing mortgage rates or affecting the pace of transactions.
The reason why this is different is if you own a home and you've purchased, in the last 2 to 20 years, you have equity.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at any time prior to July of 2022, you have equity in your home and you have an unbelievable interest rate. And it's going to require a lot of factors to get you to budge off that incredibly low interest rate.
A lot of those need to move factors.
Yes. Yep.
So the folks that are in and comfortable in sitting on equity with a low rate, it's pretty darn hard to get motivated to go out and upsize is going to hurt you.
Yeah, you just think about the amount of people on a Sunday that might go and check out a new construction subdivision or maybe go check out an open house that may be spurred into doing something if rates were more affordable than they are right now, given that people know they're in the 3s and they know rates are in the mid to upper 6s. We'll just turn on a movie. There's no sense in going out and even looking at an open house. I can only fathom that mentality or that impact on people.
Is there payment shock when you're showing them the need to buys, not at the rate, but the actual payment of what it's bringing them?
No, the need to buy people look at that and say, all right, I knew it was going to be a shock. And we just have to keep our fingers crossed that rates don't stay at these elevated levels for long, and huge incentive to consider refinancing as soon as it can save money. So it's they kind of push that aside and say, well, we're going to get to that down the road, but this is something that we have to do now, and we're going to get it done. And a lot of people are understanding that, because a lot of folks we've talked to have refinanced since they bought their home, and that concept or that approach is more appealing to them, or soothing, I should say.
A quick reminder, folks haven't been paying on their student loans for almost 3 years now. And that's about to change. That's not going to feel good either. Throw a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 payment in there that you haven't been having to make. So
It's all kinds of stuff. I know. I keep talking to my kids. What'd you get? Any updates on that? Any updates? Nope. Just keeps getting pushed back.
all right, well,
Save
thanks
the
for
money while you
updates.
can. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
Pay it down when you can, if you can. Save bucks, not Starbucks.
All
All right, man. I'll
Good
catch up with you
stuff.
soon.
Peace.
Thanks, Ken.